What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the numbers. These are my Draftkings MMA picks for UFC 309. We have Jon Jones going against Stipe Miocic. We have a 13-fight slate on our hands this Saturday. And yeah, looking forward to this card. We have actually two 5-round fights. Jon Jones, Stipe for the heavyweight championship, and then a non-title fight, Charles Oliveira, Michael Chandler. So yeah, looking forward to breaking this entire card down from a DraftKings perspective. Before we get into it, if you guys could please do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out dfsbythenumbers.com for more content, and also do want to shout out the sponsor of the show, that is Prize Picks. Right now, if you guys use the code DFSBTN, you'll get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Whether that lineup wins or loses, you'll get $50 instantly into your Prize Picks account. And if you guys have not seen my prediction video, I'm actually doing a giveaway. I'm giving away Paul Craig autographed shorts, a Stipe Miocic autographed picture, and then a Bo Nickel rookie card. All you guys have to do is sign up on Prize Picks using code DFSBTN, shoot me proof on Instagram or Twitter, and then I'll get you into the list, and I'm going to draw names out of a hat for my next prediction video. So check it out, enter the contest, and use that code DFSBTN. With all that out of the way, I say we get into it, and we're going to start with the fight doesn't go to decision lines here. We have a couple big ones this week. Up top, it is Bo Nickel going against Paul Craig, minus 1,000 for the fight doesn't go to decision. And yeah, I mean, this is one of those where it's like we got Bo Nickel at 9,800, which I feel like from a tournament perspective, you can get away from Bo Nickel this week. He's just so expensive. Not convinced he's going to be able to find his way onto the optimal lineup. I think he does win. I think it's dominant, but kind of the way I'm seeing this fight play out is I feel like Bo might not go out there and wrestle like he usually does. I feel like going into the guard of Paul Craig is not the most wise thing to do. I'm kind of leading Bo Nickel to go out there and potentially knock him out. So yeah, I feel like he's very expensive. There could be some better options, some cheaper options. It's just 9,800 is kind of crazy. On the Craig side, though, Craig's a guy that no matter who he's fighting, it could be anybody in the division, he's always worth a sprinkle, right? Like, just put him into a couple of your lineups if you're doing multi-entry. This guy's pulled a rabbit out of his hat more times than once. So, do I think Paul Craig wins? No, but he's 6,400. I don't think we've seen a fighter that cheap since, I don't know, a very, very long time. A very long time. I think since Bo Nickel fought Val Woodburn, potentially. It's like a very long time ago. So, yeah, I think Paul Craig, little sprinkle just in case Bo Nickel does go into his guard and gets triangled. So, we'll see. Next, we have Oliveira Chandler, minus 800 for the fight. Doesn't go to decision. So, although I wasn't too excited about the Nickel-Craig fight from a DraftKings perspective, I'm very excited about Oliveira Chandler from a DraftKings perspective. I think Chandler is certainly a live dog early on. I think we've seen Charles Oliveira knocked down multiple times in the early going. To his credit, he's able to survive a lot of these knockdowns and pull off the upset or pull off the win later the fight goes. But yeah, I think if Chandler's winning this fight, I'm kind of seeing it as like a first round knockout type thing. And at 7,200, that's going to score incredibly. But I do like Charles Oliveira here. He's 9,000, which that makes him 500 cheaper than Jon Jones, makes him 800 cheaper than Bo Nickel, 700 cheaper than David Onama, 600 cheaper than Mauricio Hufi. So yeah, I think we're getting a solid price here on Charles Oliveira, and if he wins this fight, I see a big score. So I'm going pretty much all in on this co-main event. We have 5 rounds to work with. I don't think we'll need these 5 rounds, but I think somebody's getting served here. Love this co-main event from a DraftKings perspective. Now we get the main event, which is also 5 rounds. This is more of a one-sided fight for me. I think Jon Jones is the cash play I really like. I think Jon Jones is safe. I'm not sure he has like the most upside in the world here. With that said, though, he does have 25 minutes to work with. Maybe he will get the grappling going, which will make him score a lot more. But yeah, I think Jon Jones wins this fight. I'm pretty confident Jones wins this fight. If Stipe comes out here at 42 years old on a 4-year layoff, pulls off the upset, I'd be pretty shocked, to be honest. So Jones is somebody I feel good about, especially on cash games, but even in tournaments, I feel like without those extra 2 rounds to work with, I think is a viable tournament option as well. And then we got Tybura Deniz, minus 325 for the fight, doesn't go to decision. Yeah, I love targeting fights like this. These striker versus grappler matchups where it's clear as day on the feet. Deniz is going to have an advantage. He's going to have a path, and that path is a violent knockout. And then for Tybura, he's going to have an advantage on the ground. He's going to have a clear path on the ground. And if he gets the fight to the ground, I think it's over there shortly after. Not only do we have that striker versus grappler aspect of things, but we have very, very playable salaries. Marcin Tybura, 8,200. Janata Deniz at 8,000. I think the winner in this fight scores incredibly over 100 points, whether that's a Janata Deniz knockout in the first or second round, or whether that's a Marcin Tybura finish on the mat in the first or second round. So I'm very heavily exposed to this heavyweight fight, and I think somebody's getting served here. Let's get into these core plays here. Up top, we got Jon Jones, 9,500. Like I said, he's probably the guy I feel, the best about this week. Of course, we have guys like Bo Nickel, David Onama, Mauricio Hufi, who I think all three of those win. I think all three of those finish. But Jon Jones is cheaper than all three of them. Jon Jones has that extra 2 rounds to work with. So yeah, I like Jon Jones here. Probably my favorite play up in that 9K range in terms of like safety and some upside to go along with it. Marcus McGee, 8,400. I like McGee in this matchup. McGee's somebody with a 100% finish rate, and I think stylistically, yeah, this fight could play out competitively, but, McGee's going to have all the finish upside, in my opinion. He's going to have all the grappling upside, if there were to be grappling upside in this fight. And then on top of that, he's just a more durable fighter. We've seen Jonathan Martinez hurt in a lot of fights. He got knocked out by Davey Grant, got dropped by Jose Aldo, almost got him out of their last fight. Alejandro Perez dropped him as well. So yeah, the durability for me is in question with Jonathan Martinez. McGee hits very hard. He's going to put on a pace. I think these guys are going to swing. So I think Marcus McGee not only is live to win this fight, but is live to actually finish this fight and keep that 100% finish rate intact. So I like McGee here. Very playable, price tag at 8,400. I like him quite a bit. Next, we got Marcin Tybura, 8,200. Yeah, we talked about this fight a lot. I just think you're going to need this fight in tournaments. You got to think here. I really think it's one takedown, and that's the fight for Marcin Tybura. Deniz is just a 0 on the ground. Tybura is a black belt. He has that ground and pound. We've seen him go out there, get fights down to the mat, get the finish, and I don't see why it would be any different here. We saw Austin Lane go out there, take down Deniz, get in the mount very easily, and then almost finish the fight at the end of the first round. I think if Tybura gets on top, he's going to get into a dominant position and either rain down punches and elbows or get a sub there. So I like Tybura. His head very well could get detached here by a big shot from Deniz, but if he gets a takedown, I think the fight's over shortly after. And then Charles Oliveira, we also talked about. I think this fight's very important from a DraftKings perspective. Yeah, I like Charles here. I do have some concerns early. I think he actually is probably going to get dropped because he gets dropped in every single fight, but he just has no quit in him. I know that the big narrative on Oliveira in the past was like, this guy's a quitter. He always looks for the door. That's not the case anymore. We've seen him get dropped by Dustin Poirier. We saw him get dropped by Chandler their last fight. We saw him get dropped like 3 times by Justin Gaethje, and he came back and won all 3 of those fights. So I do think he'll probably get hurt here, but I think he has the heart to survive, get this fight extended to the second round, and that's kind of when I think he's getting the finish there. But yeah, great fight to target from a DraftKings perspective. Moving on to the GPP plays here, we have Eric Anders, 8,500. Yeah, this fight could be like an ugly fight, but I also feel like Anders has some sneaky knockout upside. I think Anders is coming in here in very good shape, very, very motivated as well for this fight, taking on Chris Weidman, who's 40 years old. Weidman's been knocked out 5-6 times. He hasn't looked the greatest since he's came back from his long injury, long layoff. So yeah, I think Anders wins this fight. Could be low scoring unless he does find the chin of Weidman, which, like I said, I think it could be in play here. Damon Jackson, 8,600. Yeah, I think Jackson has a path here to win. I'm actually picking the other side. I'm on Miller here, but yeah, if Jackson wins this fight, Jackson's a guy that's going to go out there. He's going to attempt takedowns. We've seen Miller's takedown defense be not so good in the past. I remember the Joe Solecki fight, the Vince Pichel fight. Both of them were able to take down Jim Miller and take him to take him to decision. And I think Damon Jackson, that's kind of his path there, is to take him down, rinse and repeat, maybe land some ground and pound, and ultimately win a decision. At 8,600, I don't think that's the worst look in the world. Mickey Gall, 8,300. I just think this is kind of like a sneaky fight overall to target, because on one hand, I do like Gall quite a bit in this matchup. I think that he's better than Brahimaj pretty much everywhere. I think he's the much better striker, has the better cardio. I kind of think Brahimaj is round 1 submission or bust. That's how he's won all of his fights. See, I think Gall does win this fight. Maybe even gets a finish potentially. We've seen Brahimaj get put in some really bad spots against Court McGee. Max Griffin was able to finish him in the 3rd round, so maybe like a Gall late finish could be in play here. 8,300, I don't mind it. And then Janata Deniz, 8,000, another guy that I think is in play here. 50-50 matchup in my opinion. If Tybura gets a takedown, it's a wrap, but Deniz is very live to knock out Tybura in the 1st round. I think somebody's getting served here, and I would look to play both sides in tournaments. All right, live dogs. Ramiz Brahimaj, 7,900. Yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of the guy, but what I can't ignore is the fact that he does have a 100% finish rate, and not only that, a 100% first round finish rate. Anytime Ramiz Brahimaj has won a fight, it has been in the very first round. I'm not the biggest fan of the guy, but if he's winning and it's in the first round, that can't be ignored. I will be sprinkling some Ramiz Brahimaj. Jim Miller, 7,600. I think for him to win this fight, he's going to need to touch the chin of Damon Jackson, and that could very well happen. Damon Jackson, he's getting up there in age in his own right. He's taken a ton of damage in his own right. He's been knocked out how many times? He's very hittable. Jim Miller still packs a ton of power. Yeah, I think Jim Miller by knockout is very much on the table here. He's 7,600. If this fight does go the distance, I do have some major concerns about him winning the fight, but yeah, kind of attacking that finish upside on the Miller side there at a very cheap price tag. And then we got Eduardo Mora, 7,500. This fight's almost a pick 'em on the money line. I think last time I checked, Mara was anywhere from plus 105 to plus 110. Money's coming in on her. And yeah, I love her in this matchup. From a DraftKings perspective, especially because it's like she has all the finish upside. She has all the grappling upside. We're getting her at a discount. This fight should not be priced 7,500 for Mara. This should be more like the 8,200, 8,000 matchup, according to the odds. See, I think Mara at 8 or 7,500 is a good look this week for sure. And if she wins this fight, I actually think she has some solid upside with that grappling that she brings to the table. And then Basil Hafez, 7,400. Kind of like the Mora fight, but the line's not really reflecting it because money's poured in on Oban Elliott. I think Elliott's almost like minus 300 now. I don't get that personally. I think this is a close fight. I think Hafez has all the finishing upside. I think Hafez can potentially mix in some takedowns. And I think worst case scenario, this is a very close fight for Basil Hafez. I don't think he's getting finished, nothing like that. I think worst case scenario, he loses the decision, getting picked apart across 3 rounds. But yeah, I think he has some finish upside here and some takedown upside as well, and he's very cheap. All right, moving on to the pump plays. We got Michael Chandler, 7,200. We talked about this fight a ton, and that's because it's an important fight. It's an important fight. The fight doesn't go as minus 800. The under 2.5 is minus 250. Charles Oliveira has been under 2.5 in all of his 5-round fights, and I think that trend continues here. I think somebody's getting served here, and if Michael Chandler is winning this fight, I think it's a first round, maybe second round knockout. Michael Chandler should not be ignored this week because if he wins, he's going to break the slate. And then Paul Craig, 6,400. Touched on him a tad. It's Paul Craig. Sprinkle some just in case. There's been fights where it's like there's no way Paul Craig wins this fight against Jamal Hill, and he wins the fight against Jamal Hill. Oh, there's no way Paul Craig beats Nikita Krylov. There's no way Paul Craig beats Magomed Ankalaev. Like, it's happened time and time again. Paul Craig should not win this fight, but he seems to find a way in fights where he gets counted out the most. So I would just sprinkle a little bit just in case. I fully expect him to get knocked out brutally, but it's Paul Craig. Can't go wrong with sprinkling him a little bit. All right, and then the fade is going to be Veronica Hardy, 8,700. No finishing upside, no grappling upside. She's like minus 130 now. Way too expensive there for Veronica Hardy. So yeah, that about does it. Thank you all so much for watching. If you guys could like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out dfsbythenumbers.com. That's where you'll find all my other DFS content. Fighter stats, targets, projections, rankings, ownership projections. Got the prize picks, DraftKings article just posted as well. Lineup optimizer and much, much more. Check it out at dfsbythenumbers.com. And don't forget to check out prize picks. Use that code at DFSBTN. Screenshot me some proof that you signed up, and I will get you entered into the contest giving away Bo Nickel rookie card, Paul Craig autographed shorts, and then a Stipe Miocic autographed picture. Yeah, that's about all I got. Best of luck for UFC 309, and we'll talk to you guys soon. See you later.